In a crime story that has captivated minds, hearts, and nightmares for decades, the Zodiac Killer emerges as one of the most notorious enigmas in the annals of American crime. The mystery isn't just in his gruesome acts, but also in the messages he sent, cryptic puzzles that tantalized, frustrated, and haunted both law enforcement and amateur sleuths alike. You might be wondering, what secrets lie behind these chilling notes? Why did he choose to taunt us with codes instead of simply confessing? Stick around because we're about to embark on a thrilling exploration that promises revelations you've likely never considered. Imagine yourself in the late 1960s or early 70s, a time when California was not only a land of sun and surf but also a backdrop to fear. A murderer roamed, leaving cryptic messages after each of his heinous crimes. His letters weren't your typical love notes or social pleasantries. These were filled with ciphers and riddles, stuffing the hearts of many with dread. These communications, crafted with precision, hold within them not just the madness of a killer but a deeper psyche that has puzzled experts for years. Even today, people find themselves caught in the intricate web of his words and symbols, leading to the natural belief that these messages may indeed be the key to understanding a man who wanted to be understood yet remains shrouded in mystery. What makes the Zodiac Killer's messages so fascinating? For starters, they were a mix of taunts aimed at the police and claims of superiority over investigators. In one of his infamous letters, he wrote, "I am the killer of the love of the world." This direct communication signals a level of arrogance and delusion that draws you in. It's this blend of terror and intelligence that gives his messages an intensity that evokes both fear and curiosity. But here's something you didn't expect. Among the numerous letters he sent, only a subset contained ciphers. Out of 4 major encoded messages, 2 still remain unsolved, tantalizing amateur codebreakers and conspiracy theorists alike. Imagine the frustration of working on a puzzle for years, only to reach a dead end. Yet, life doesn't always provide a satisfying conclusion. Sometimes, it leaves shadows and questions that linger for lifetimes. As we delve into the origins of his communications, it becomes clear that the Zodiac Killer was a master manipulator. For him, the thrill came not only from committing horrific acts but from the power dynamics he played with law enforcement and the media. His letters were trophies, a showcase of his intellectual prowess. Every detail in his writing mattered, whether it was the use of symbols or the intimate knowledge of police procedures and public reactions. Reflect on it. To craft messages this way, he had to be intelligent, cunning, and, dare we say, a bit of a showman. Notably, one of the most famous of these puzzles is the 340-character cipher, which remained unsolved for over 51 years. Imagine the thrill and dread when enthusiasts finally cracked it in December 2020. The decoded message revealed disturbing content, including themes of violence and a disillusionment with society, a glimpse into a warped psyche that only added layers to the Zodiac's already dark legend. This begs the question: did the Zodiac want to be caught, or was he reveling in the chaos he created? The questions continue. Why did he choose to use ciphers in the first place? One could argue it's because they gave him a sense of control, intertwining his identity with the thrill of the hunt. Each letter had a personal touch, laden with symbolism that spoke not just to those he targeted but to society at large. The cryptic nature of his messages served to further elevate his notoriety while taunting the very authorities who were trying to stop him. It's a strange paradox. The more he revealed about himself, the more he obscured his identity. Speaking of identities, what about potential suspects? You might be wondering who might fit the mold of such a masterful codebreaker. Over the years, theories have flourished, pointing fingers at everyone from runaway misfits to respected members of the community. One popular theory suggests that Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester and prime suspect, might have been the Zodiac. He had a penchant for ciphers and had been linked to several disappearances, but many are left with questions. Was he simply a red herring? Thought-provoking evidence suggests that the Zodiac Killer may have acted on impulses born from profound psychological scars. He appeared to be a deeply troubled individual, one who exploited his brilliance to achieve notoriety while simultaneously indulging in violent fantasies. As we explore these cryptic messages, it's worth considering, did he see himself as a misunderstood artist, drawing out his masterpieces in blood, ink, and ciphers? And let's not overlook the profound psychological implications behind what he wrote. Codes can act like a window into the soul. They are filled with the emotions, thoughts, and battles that rage within a person. What comes next will leave you speechless. After finally decrypting the infamous 340-character cipher, researchers found hidden symbols that many believe could point toward a specific location, potentially one of the Zodiac's crime scenes. It raises the chilling possibility of him engaging not just in mind games with his victims but with the public and the police as well, as if daring them to come closer, yet once again pulling back just enough to remain elusive. Every code brings with it a multitude of interpretations. Throughout history, cryptography has often reflected the mindset of the creator, and the Zodiac's messages are no exception. They encapsulate a chaotic worldview, filled with resentment towards societal norms. He mentions trophies, potential references to his victims, further linking his murderous pursuits to feelings of inadequacy or a quest for validation. To understand the vibrant tapestry of his messages, one must grasp the historical context. The late 1960s and early 70s were rife with counterculture movements, anti-establishment sentiments, and societal upheaval. Large swaths of America were challenging the status quo, creating fertile ground for an individual like the Zodiac to thrive in the shadows. Moreover, let us not forget how the Zodiac's era was also marked by the rise of media sensationalism. Each letter was a hungry beast fed by the voracious appetite of press, radio, and television broadcasts. You must have wondered how much of his elaborate puzzles were aimed at the public, actively playing into their fears while satiating his own need for attention. His taunting messages were equally invitations for speculation and interpretation, like a game of chess where he was always 2 moves ahead. As you piece together the threads of his communication, consider the emotional weight it carried, not just for law enforcement, chasing shadows in a desperate search for answers, but for the families of his victims. They read his letters, trying to find solace, understanding, or perhaps even clues about the lost loved ones. Yet, what they received instead was a jolt of hopelessness and despair, underscoring the chilling reality that the killer was not just a murderer, he was a master manipulator of public fear, feeding off the chaos he created. The emotional toll was staggering. In fact, both police and civilians alike became borderline obsessed with the Zodiac's letters and ciphers. It overshadowed the tragic loss of lives, turning the attention from healing to deciphering a deranged puzzle. As the decades rolled on, the mystery morphed into legend, not simply a tale of a murderer, but of a linguistic nightmare that would not relent. And what about the shadows of the digital age? With the rise of social media and codes being cracked faster than ever before, you may think that the Zodiac's cryptic messages would have seen the light of day sooner. Yet, many modern codebreakers face a unique challenge, a barrage of distractions in a world overflowing with noise. Rarely do the whispers of a long-dead killer captivate attention the way they once did, but every now and then, someone uncovers forgotten tools or generates new theories that bring the Zodiac back into the spotlight. Here's a twist you might find unsettling: even unanswered questions become a part of the Zodiac's chilling legacy. What if the unsolved ciphers have nothing to do with his psyche but serve instead as distractions, deliberately crafted to keep speculation alive? Was he playing a long game, reveling in the ongoing intrigue while he continued to get away with murder? The possibility is both terrifying and fascinating, a reminder of how much power the mind can wield, even from beyond the grave. As we prepare to wrap this journey, let's emphasize the nature of secrets. Secrets don't only lie in the shadows of the unsolved ciphers, they dwell in the hearts of those left behind, in the anguish of the families, the anguish of a society grappling with fear, apathy, and brutality. Each letter written was a dark reflection, a sinister mirror of a man seeking validation through chaos. It reminds us that while we chase certainty in the language of numbers and letters, human emotions remain the most complex code of all. So where does that leave us? Although some messages were deciphered, others cast long shadows that may never be lifted. The story of the Zodiac Killer is one of intrigue and fear steeped in psychological and historical analysis. There are still unanswered questions, more layers to peel away, more assumptions that can be challenged, leading us to ask ourselves, what more lies hidden in the depths of his cryptic missives? So the next time you hear about the Zodiac Killer, remember, not just the horror of his actions, but the intricate web he weaved with his cryptic language, the chess games he played with a population eager for answers, and the pain etched in the lives of those most affected. Because while one can dissect codes and messages, the secrets behind them open a Pandora's box of conversations we may never fully decipher. With the shadows still lurking, one can only wonder, what will we discover next about the lurking enigma of the Zodiac? Are we prepared to peel back even more layers and face the darkness woven tightly into his twisted mind? The journey continues, and you are right at its precipice.